Shalom Akim, Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Makakadesh, Barakatham, double honors and salutations to the elders and apostles of Great Stone, to the Akim Akrath, try to focus to the earth, holding on sincerity and in truth, to the gospel Lord of Mashak Yahushai. In these days and times, this Braham Nasha DC camp, short lesson for the hopeful elect. Yeah, so this is another follow up as per the burdens of Yaqub in Babylon, right? The burden of Yasharala in Babylon, all right? So previously had, went over the so-called emergency renters assistance program for DC. We had the people lining up out there in the cold, and the so-called DC government agency playing games with people's mental health, you know, playing games, with people's stability, because, times are hard, man. Times are hard for Drake. Times have always been hard for our people. And then to see the hopscotch, whack-a-mole, habits of these government agencies towards our people, not just DC, man, but throughout the whole country. It becomes sad, it becomes, frustrating, annoying, irritating. But hey, that's Babylon for you, man. It's not a place of leisure, it's not a place of rest, it's not a place of comfort. This is a land of bitterness. This land is covered with the blood of our forefathers. Alright? The blood of our forefathers, the so-called Negroes, the so-called Latinos, and so-called Native Americans. That's why the Lord is angry with the wicked every day. Alright? So you just have to learn how to look at things for what they are. Micah chapter 2 verse 10, let me get that precept real quick and I'll read it. Because you cannot continue to place your trust and hope in a system that's hell-bent on eliminating your faith in the Lord Yahweh Shema Shai Shema Kadash. Alright, so you have to understand what is at stake. A lot of our people don't even know what is at stake. Alright, they don't know, what they're up against. They don't know what is going to cost them if they miss this opportunity, at salvation by trusting the Lord Amashak Yahushai. So they have to understand what it takes, man, to trust in the Lord and not to put their all into the system of Esau's governance. So Micah chapter 2 verse 10 says, Arise ye and depart, for this is not your rest. Because it is polluted, it shall destroy you even with a sore destruction. Alright, so it's a never-ending cycle of oppression that we have to deal with. You may get a breather here and there, but the next generation still has to go through the same old, hamster in the wheel ideology that Esau has to force our people to engage in, man. This the hamster on the wheel, this rat race, man, is depressing. Even when you're driving to work in the morning, you see all the tail lights, man, all the tail lights and headlights, man, of all these vehicles going to and fro. It becomes meaningless. To think that this is the way a person's supposed to live life. It's corrupt, it's polluted, it's what you call you're endangering your life, man, by being in an environment that's filled with toxins. So You gotta trust in the Lord, man. Or call upon the Lord Hamashiach Yahushua to give you the courage to hold on till the end. You have to get the job done, regardless of whether you get rental assistance or not. All right. So yeah, just be prepared, man. Be prepared spiritually. The book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and 3, uh, tells you clearly what you have to consider. Right? It says, a prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself, but the simple pass on and are punished. So, you have to make a choice, man, of what you're going to do in the times of difficulties, man. Even before the times of difficulties arise, you already know how to prepare yourself accordingly. It's tough. That mental challenge, is going to put you through the ups and downs of Babylon. You have to go through this valley of the shadow of death. Even on my so-called job at the plantation, man, you got to deal with the homeless. Folks just squatting, sneaking in the building, sleeping for hours, even for days, and nobody notices, until, somebody finds out. Now, you gotta, look at the cameras, see exactly what's going on, and you write a report, call the cops, issue a barring notice. That's horrible, it's horrible. Our people have become squatters in in the world that we're supposed to inherit. So it's basically the chastening of the Lord, man. The heathen has totally, run upon our people with his tricks. So, not to distract from what the video, you know, popped off the screen. It says what DC residents testify against Mayor Bowser's proposed cuts to rental assistance program. So the rental assistance program was cut by $21 million, you know, and now they only had less than $10 million, in fact, less than $7 million just to assist the people, So that's the game they always play. And look at the article. This is from June, actually May of this year. And you had people out there in November lining up, November, December lining up for assistance in the cold weather. They say, okay, well, you gotta do it online. You try to do it online, you can't do it online. Now you gotta, call. Now your number's not working. Now you gotta be there in person. All of a sudden, the building is not available at this moment, and all that, jargon. So it's just part of the struggles of our people, man, the burdens of our people, So, hey, that's just how it is, you know. That's just how it is, and the blame doesn't even fall on the DC mayor. It goes along, with the so-called council members, because they're the ones that approve the budget. So that's a trick they always play. Somebody has to be the one to be the person to sign, the agenda of the elites into law, and some people got to vote on it. So that's just how it is. That's the game plan. Because the government, is basically like a cash cow, for the elites. When they need money, they know exactly what they need to do. They just call one of their lackeys, one of their puppets, to approve a contract, to approve a position for one of their homies to funnel the funds towards them. That's how they get contracts. So it's not as if they're gonna take everything. People will still have to get crumbs too. So that's what you have to deal with. So if you look at this paragraph, it says Bowser's proposing slashing $21 million from ERAP. ERAP is the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. All right. bringing last year's approved 26 million down to 5 million. So that's what it is. That's what it is. That's how they play the game. That money has to go somewhere. So that's the journey of our people's struggle here in Babylon. So remember, man, just because the money is there doesn't mean you're gonna get the assistance you need. So this is a clear example of what they do. So just be careful. You know, keeping your hopes up in Babylon, man, because it's no joke, man. It's no joke. So that's about it, I can. That's about it. So when you see folks out there homeless, folks getting evicted, they can't get no assistance on time. Somebody fell through the cracks. So this is how people fall through the cracks, man. You have elderly people too, that can't make it. They have to deal with it. Senior citizens too, the youth. People in their 20s and 30s and 40s and 50s. So our people are overly represented when it comes to needing assistance. So that's the curses, man, that the Lord have to make us endure. So you know, I'll get another precept, man. Just make it quick and wrap up and get to the next one. So I get this another quick precept. It's gonna be from the book of Proverbs also. So this is Proverbs chapter 25 and 19. Confidence in an unfaithful man in time of trouble is like a broken tooth and a foot out of joint. Proverbs 25 and 19. Confidence in an unfaithful man, alright, an unfaithful man's government in times of need, in times of emergency, is like a broken tooth, a pain, a disease, nervousness, depression, and a foot out of joint. So that's why a lot of our people, just forget about it. They just crash out. They become a nuisance to society because they feel that they are being neglected. The coldness of the unrighteous man has totally engulfed the minds of our people. That's why Jake is just walking around upset and depressed and emotional, snapping, emotional snaps. Yeah, emotional damage, man. That's the reason why we need a lot of Mashaki Shai. That's why, we need to have mercy from the Lord. You know, that's why you read from the book of Luke, chapter 4, verse 18. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because He had given me. Alright, actually, you know what? Read it properly. This is what Tamashaki Avashai said to our people. Alright, Luke chapter 4, verse 18. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because He had anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He had sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captives, and recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised. So that's one thing, our people have to remember on a constant basis, man, because our people need healing, seriously. They need that emergency response. And that's where the word of the Lord of Mashaki Awashai comes in. So always remember, man, our people are struggling out there, man. And you just got to pray the Lord of Mashaki Awashai, but Hashem Kadash, sends that spirit of mercy, man, because Jake is catching hell. all over the place. Alright, Shalom.